going to do a tutorial on creating an automotive design, working with the Design Base, Fashion Factory, and our brush packs. With the introduction of the Design Base and the Spring Sports Pack and all of our brush packs, we now have over 4,000 design assets available on our website through clip art, design templates, marketing materials, along with your brush packs, which we have over 1,200 brushes available on the site. If you're interested in getting into any of these products, we've got this bundle and save page where you can pick up everything in bundles, and we've got some different bundles here. Here's an everything bundle that has Simple Steps, Fashion Factory, all 3 brush packs, both of the art packs or media packs for the Design Base, along with all of our training. And you can pick that up for $5.99. It's on sale now for 25% off with our spring special. And we've also got what we call the designer bundle, which is absent of the training but carries all of our plugins and design assets. So you got some really good value here based on price points that can really move you from a design standpoint from being able to do basic things to be able to do more advanced things and be able to do them very, very quickly in the CorelDRAW graphics suite. Go back to our tutorial here, and I want to take a look at cars in the Design Base. So we'll go ahead and just type in the keyword car and hit enter. And you can see here that in the Design Base we've included thousands of pieces of art that really cover every spectrum that you could imagine, from automotive high-end looking designs. I'll go ahead and change my view here, and you can see we've got some very high-end looking automotive graphics, almost photorealistic vector traces such as this Camaro. Go back and change my view again, and then we go all the way down to simple 2-color graphics and silhouettes. So we've really tried to put together a full spectrum of art for you in the Design Base that you can go ahead and create designs at any level based on the requirements of the design you're working on. If it's a 1 or 2 color design, you might want to work with one of the silhouette cars, which have a kind of comic style of art. I'm going to go back to here on page 1 of my results, and I'm going to go ahead and click on my Camaro here, and I'm going to just click Place Art in Current Document. And it'll take just a minute to load. Now this is a very complex vector graphic, very high-end vector graphic, and take a look at the realistic look of it, the shading and the highlighting and things like that. Now what I want to do with this is I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the drop shadow because I'm not going to want that in my design. So if you've got an object that's grouped, we've got a group of 224 objects here. If you hold down Control, click off, hold down Control and click, you can select objects within a group of objects, and I've just selected the child drop shadow. I'm going to go ahead and hit delete to remove that, and then I'll go ahead and bring my Camaro right over here. The next thing that I want to do is I want to bring something down in this design to give it some pop. Now maybe I'm going to do a 3 or 4 color design, maybe a 2 color design. I'm going to go to my artistic media. I'll be working with graphic flames from brush pack 3. I'm going to come up here, I'm just going to take the black top one here because that's not going to have all the effects in it, so it'll render much quickly. Just going to left click, hold down, and bring this over this way like that. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here, but I'm going to come in off of the other side of the vehicle because I want this hidden behind the vehicle. Now what I can do is take these brush strokes, double click on them with my pick tool, and I'll change to my shape tool, and you can see the line or the vector curve that this brush stroke is applied to. I can also hit my space bar. I'll go back to the pick tool, double click again, and start to edit this flame over here coming off of the right hand side. Now once I get my brush stroke set up, I've got this set up this way, and I'm not sure I'm happy with this. I can change this. I can simply go ahead and delete this brush, and then go back to my artistic media tool, and let's say we want to start up here and come down around this way here and just kind of tail that out like that, and then maybe we want to come off of this side of the vehicle, come in this way, and then tail down just like that. Get a really different look that'll come off the back of the shirt and kind of have flames coming down into the design. The next thing I'll do is just go ahead and select these 2 objects, go back to my artistic media tool, and then come down in here and select a different stroke and apply that, and you can see I'll get a different look on the different strokes. Now the benefits of working with brushes is that you can really customize the way in which the art is applied to your design, and we can see this here. Now I'm going to take the car here, I'm going to right click on this, I'm going to select order, and I'm going to go to front of page to bring the car to the front. So now I've got a twisted looking flame coming down off the bottom of my auto. That's going to look really nice going down the bottom half of the t-shirt. Next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and get my text tool, and I'm just going to type in the text Camaro, C-A-M-A-R, and then I'll go with a capital O. And I'll use these two capitals to really kind of accent the text and design, to bring it out, to give it some emphasis. So I'll go ahead and change the size of that. Then I'll just go ahead and change my font. I'll come up here and grab a font, and I'll change that to Crown Title, a kind of hard rock looking font. And I'll go ahead and bring this over here. What I did is I went to my shape tool and I just grabbed this handle down the right hand side here. All I want to do is put some more space between the letters and the word with this particular font, just so it's a little bit more legible. Go ahead and take this. I'm going to resize this above the top of my car, and I'm going to bring this over the center here, and I want to make the car look like it's kind of coming out from underneath the text. Once again, if you look at the way we're designing right now, we're using brushes that have a lot of shading and highlight in them, and the car also. So we're creating a lot of depth in our design, a lot of effects. We're not just working with flat vectors. We've got depth in our flames, we've got depth in our car, and that's going to help our graphic pop off of our shirt. It's going to really impress our clients. Next thing I'll do is apply an envelope to this. So I'll go to Text Effects and Design Base. I'll go into my envelopes, and I'll just kind of key my way through down here through some of the different preset envelopes we have available. And you can download the envelope pack for free along with the basic Design Base plugin. And I'll take a look at some different envelopes here. And we'll take a look at this one here. And I'll just go ahead and click on Apply Selected Envelope. Now this saves me the time of trying to add the envelope myself. Now I've got the Camaro text here. Once this envelope is applied, you can adjust it or change it. I'm going to go over here to the interactive tools in the toolbar. We'll start here with the blend. We'll left click and come down here to the envelope. Then I'm just going to take this center point here and bring this down a little bit, and I could make some radical changes to how this text is showing up in my design, changing the envelope. But I want this to be kind of off the top here just a bit of design, or I could bring it up even higher. And you can see that we're getting a really interesting look on our design here. We've got a real flow with the flames and the text and everything here. I'm going to go ahead and take this Camaro text the way it's set now, and I'm just going to go ahead and convert that to curves. And then I'm going to go to Effects and Add Perspective. And I'm just going to make this not quite so sharp here off the edge. So I'll go ahead up here in the left hand corner, I'll left click, hold down, and I'm going to hold down Shift and Control so I apply that effect the same amount of perspective on each side, it's equal, and release that. And there's my Camaro set up there, and I can bring this down a little bit here. And if I'm not happy with that, I could change that and go back. All I have to do is hit Control Z. I'm not sure I want this arch here going this way or going down at the top of the text. I actually might want that to go up. So I'll hit Control Z and go back to before when I applied the envelope. And I think I'll take a look at another envelope. Just go ahead and place this right here. I'm going to go back here. I think I saw the basic shape I want to start with right here. And here I'll click on Apply Selected Envelope again. And I kind of like the top going up because it flows more with the design. You can see we got the flames here at the bottom coming up, and then this kind of flows with design better than having the shape of the curve and the text going down. Going up, in my opinion, is better. We'll take a look now at doing some adjustments on this particular envelope, which I'll go over back to my envelope tool, and I'll bring this up just a bit here, and then I'll just lasso both of these nodes in the envelope. I'm going to hold down Control to constrain and bring these down to right about there. And now we've got our Camaro text set up for our design, and it flows very nicely with the design and the flames. I'm going to go ahead and minimize my design base. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and select my Camaro text, left click one time, start moving, right click one time to duplicate that. Next thing I'm going to do is start adding some effects to this text, get some pop going on here. I'm going to go to the contour docker, and I'm going to go with 0.007 to the inside, but I'm going to go with 50 steps, and I'll just key that in. then I'll click on apply. Now you can see we got a nice shading effect going on here that we can add some design effect with. Next thing I want to do is go ahead and right click on this and select break contour group apart. I'll select OK here. I'm going to go ahead and fill everything with black. I'm going to go ahead and group it. I'm going to come over here to the interactive tools and I'm going to come down here to transparency. I'm going to come up here to the properties bar and I'm going to go to uniform and I'm going to set up this transparency at 95 and hit enter so that I've got a 95% opacity. And now you can see I've built some shading in here. Now I can take this and make some effects with this, but I'm going to leave the vector arena now and go into the monochrome arena to add some really interesting effects and pop to this text for this design. So how I'm going to do that is the first thing I'm going to do is take this graphic. I'm going to go to bitmap, convert to bitmap. I'm going to have a 300 dpi grayscale. Apply IC profiles is fine. Anti-aliasing is fine. Transparent background is a must. And select OK. Now once I've done that, I've got this grayscale set up here that's got a transparent background on it built off of the transparency that's in the vector. And that's why I use the transparency for the effect. The next thing I want to do is go to my advanced tools and Fashion Factory. I'm going to come down and key my way through some different effects here. And I'm going to go with the psychedelic halftone mambo, which is like a halftone flames effect. And I'm going to click apply as transparency. And you can see the effect that we got there. I'm going to minimize the Fashion Factory. If I want to change this, let's go ahead and I'll scroll in here to zoom. If I want to change this, I can come over to my transparency tool and just change the amount or the size of the effect that's in the effect. And you can see what that did right there. I can also come to the center, move this interactive transparency, and affect the way in which this seamless tiled effect is applied to the graphic. And I think I'm happy with that right there. Next step again is bitmaps, because we're going for a monochrome. Convert to bitmap, transparent background, same thing, select OK. And then finally we're going to go to bitmaps, mode, and go to black and white and select OK. Now we have a monochrome bitmap. Now I'm going to go over here to my vector text. I'm going to give that a, let's say, a yellow fill, and I'm going to go to my object properties. I'm going to give that an outline of, let's say, 3 millimeters. I'm going to go behind fill, scale with image. We'll go to advanced. We'll round our corners and end caps and select OK. Now once I've got that set up, it's kind of thick there, and I think I want to do some different things with this because I want some outline effects on here just to make that text pop a little bit more. I've got this effect that I built with the contour and the monochrome, but now I'm going to add some more effects with outline. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and copy this. I'm going to change this outline to, let's say, we've got 6 here. I'll change this to, let's take a look at 7 right there. Now the next thing I'll do is go ahead and select paste, and I'm going to right click over here and change that to a white, and we'll bring this down to, let's say, 4 where we've got the 6. So we'll key in 4 and hit enter. Now we've got a black outline on the outside there, and we've got a white outline coming across the inside. I'm going to go ahead and select my Camaro effect here, hold down shift, select my vector text and hit C and E to align and center that. Now we can see that's behind the other vector object. All I need to do is right click here and select order and go to front of page. Now what do we got here? We've got this, right click, order to front of page. There we go. Now because this is monochrome, it's got a white background. Now in monochrome we're dealing with the reverse of vector. So our background is a left click. So you want to come up here and left click on the X in your color palette, and that'll knock your background out. Come down here and right click on the red, and there's our effect. Now if we're not happy with the contrast in the effect, let's say it's not dark enough, all you need to do is just go ahead and hit copy and paste, and you'll get some more contrast in the effect, as you can see there. Now if I wanted to, I could go back with Control Z and make some more adjustments to this. Now the way this is set up now, I'm just going to hold down Alt and select a vector object again. Now I got the second monochrome there. Go down one more time, you can see I got my artistic text. I'm going to hit Control C, and then I'm just going to go ahead and paste again. This time I'm going to left click to take the fill out of that. so you can see the effect there. And then I'm going to go ahead and change this outline to let's say 1.5. I'm going to make that black, and I'm going to go ahead and remove the behind fill. And you can see the effect that we've got now. We've got the black around the white around the black as the outline on the text. And if we zoom out and take a look, we'll see that our Camaro text is really starting to pop with a really interesting effect. So that will be our text effect. And next we'll probably want to add some additional brushes or graphics here in the background behind the car. But at this phase, what I'd like to do is go ahead and put this on a t-shirt so I can see what I'm dealing with. You can see we've got this nice flow of these flames and the Camaro text here. We've got a nice design that's really starting to come together, and it's going to pop on a t-shirt. But I like to start the design on a t-shirt sometimes just so I can see what I'm dealing with relating to color of the garment and the color of the graphics I'm working with. So I'm going to go ahead and group this. I'll bring my design base back up. I'll go to comps, and I've got a full back down here I like to work with, which is actually one of the older comps. It's just got a lot of space in it for creating your design. Go with this one, and I'll go ahead and click on full back comp. It'll take just a minute to process all that because you've got a lot of graphics in there. I'm going to go ahead and select this, and let's say we're designing on a gray t-shirt. For now, maybe a heather or something like that. But I'll go ahead and minimize this. Got this shirt selected. I'm going to fill that with, let's say, 40% black, and then I'll come up here and right click, because it's a monochrome, for my shading of 100% black. Go ahead and delete these texts here, and then zoom in and take a look at our design on a garment. Now here we can see that we've got a lot of pop going on, and that's really good because we want pop. We want this t-shirt to jump out and say, hey, look at me. That way, if your client is at a race or something like that, and his friends or other racers see his t-shirt, they say, where'd you get that t-shirt? He's going to tell them that he got it from you, obviously. Now the next thing I want to do is take a look at this Camaro here. We've got this Camaro text and the car and the flames and everything, and you can see the depth that's coming off of these flames. Almost like 3D coming right off the shirt. I probably want to, at this point, add some more effects up in here around the top of the design, just to bring something in there to give some depth to design. And I'll do that by going to my artistic media. Over here in my toolbar, and I'll come down to the brush tool here, artistic media. I was in the flames, so I'm going to go back to brush pack 1. So I'm going to go ahead and collapse this and go to brushes, and I'm going to go to barbed wire. I think it'd be a nice look with a nice barbed wire from brush pack 1 here. Go ahead and click on that. I'm going to take a look at these different brushes here, and I think I'll want to go with possibly this one here. Go ahead and select that. I'm going to zoom in here a bit and just left click, hold down, and start dragging this barbed wire effect up around the top here. Now I can see I went from thicker to thinner, and I probably want to go the other way. So I'll hit Control Z, and I'll come off here at the top, and I'm going to play off the text and shape the barbed wire down into the flames. So I'm going to go ahead and left click here up in the center, bring this down like this, and then just form it right around the text and then down into the flames. And I've got one there. Now I can go ahead and adjust this. I'm going to go ahead and double click on this. I'm going to go hit my space bar here, go back to the pick tool, double click on the brush, and you'll see that brings up my vector curve that the brush is formed to. I'm going to double click and drop a node here and just kind of twist this out a little bit and warp it so that it will look like it's kind of wrapped around in the text. I'm going to bring this here. I'm going to click on this node here. I can see there's a control arm here, and I'm going to bring this up this way, and I'm going to bring this text, this part of the wire for the barbed wire over this way. I think there's a node here, or is there? Let me zoom in and take a look here. Where do we have nodes here? We've got a node here, and sometimes it gets a little tricky working with these brushes. The other node is down in here. Let me select this. I want to go to view wireframe at this point so I can see where my nodes are. And there is a node down here, but it's over here. And I want to select that and bring that up here just so that this barbed wire is not so much hidden behind the text. I'm going to go to View and Enhanced again. I'm going to get another brush stroke and I'm going to bring that off of here. So I'm going to come up and arch that here and then kind of wrap this barbed wire stroke in around this one here and bring that right down in there. So now I've got a really nice looking barbed wire effect going on there. Now I can see I've got some issues with these strokes, so what I'm going to do is go hold down Shift, select both of these and move these over to one side. Now there I got both of them, and I can see there are some issues with this brush where we're getting some breakup in here. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on that with my pick tool and see what we're dealing with here and why we're getting, and the reason we're getting that is because we've got too much of an extension of this control arm in that brush. Too much of that effect going on there. Now if we want to smooth this out, double click, drop a node. Okay, that'll be fine right there. We got some more of the same down here. Double click, drop some nodes here and see if we can smooth out this issue down here. And we'll go ahead and drop another node there, and then we'll select this node in the middle, delete that, and now that's smoothed out. So a lot of the destruction that's there has now been fixed in these brushes with these barbed wire. We got some other issues here. Is that on this one? I'm going to go ahead and take these two and separate them. And when you're working with brushes, you have to do a little tweaking sometimes afterwards. And actually everything looks pretty good here. It's just the barbed wire aspects on top of each other, the pronged arm. There's an issue right here. I want to go ahead and double click on that, see if we can smooth that out. Drop a node there, delete this node here, and you can see that that fixed that. And you'll want to be aware of that when you're working with these brushes, because you can get some destruction through the warping that's going on with the effects. I'll take these two barbed wire strokes, I'm going to bring them back next to each other again, and you can see how I've got these two here kind of intermingling. I'm going to go ahead and select these, and I can just hit Control K and that'll break those apart. Now I'm going to go to View Wireframe because I want to get rid of these lines in here, but I can't really make them out. We've got one here and we'll delete that, and we've got another one, you can see it right there on the tip, and we'll delete that. Go ahead and select these two barbed wires. I'm going to select Group. I'm going to bring these back over into Design here and have them right there, and I'll just right click on this and select Order, go in front of Order, and I want to go in front of, you can't see it but it's right here, and click on the t-shirt. Then I'm going to go ahead and group that, and I'll go back to View and Enhanced. So you got a really cool effect with that barbed wire going on there. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this over on the other side. Go ahead and mirror that up here in the properties bar. Bring that into position right over here so it kind of matches with the other one. And you could leave this one on front and the other in the back or what have you, just to create some depth so the Camaro looks like it's coming out of it. But I'll go ahead and right click, Order, come down to in front of, and click on my t-shirt. So now I've got this whole barbed wire with flames and cars and everything going on here. And it looks like we spent hours, but we've really only been working on this for about, I'd say probably 20-25 minutes at this point with all these effects and everything. And the next thing that I want to do is I probably want to put some halftone or something like that in here behind the car just to give that some depth also. And I'll do that by going back to my design base, and I'll go to my art. I'm going to go to art packs. I know I've got a halftone pack in here that'll just add some depth or pop this in the back, and that's right here. I'm going to go ahead and double click on that. I'm going to open that in a new document, and that'll take just a minute to process. And I've got a couple of different halftone type effects here that I could bring in here. I'm going to bring this one in, I'll bring this one in, and I'll bring this one in. And I'll hit Control C here to copy. Go ahead and minimize my design base, bring my design back up. Go ahead and hit Paste to bring those in, and let's take a look at which effect we want to have in the background here for halftones. And I take a look at this one here. It kind of fits in there pretty good, and we can probably get some decent depth back there with that. Go ahead and change that. And we'll right click here and go to Order, click on in front of our t-shirt, send that to the back, and we get a really nice effect back there in the background. I'm going to hit Control Z. Let's see what that other one looks like. Now see what I've got here is I've got a monochrome, and this is all grouped. So I'm going to click on Ungroup. Don't ungroup all. Got my monochrome here. Hold down Alt, and I'll go back to my vector object. Fill that with a lighter gray, let's say 20% black. And I'm on my monochrome. I got the second monochrome there, so I want to hold down Alt again. go right to the X, hold down Alt, click one more time. Now I got the vector. And we can take a look at that as a gray, as you see there, which is kind of a different effect. Hit Control Z. You can take a look at that as a yellow in the background. That's a little too strong. I'm going to hit Control Z, leave that as a black. And I'm going to hit Control Z. We're going to bring that out of there. And I'm going to go ahead and move this back over here. I want to see what this one's going to look like. Just kind of comparing the different looks of the halftone files here. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this. Fill that with a 20% gray. Click on that. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. And bring that right here. And we'll send that, right click, order, and we'll go in front of, and we'll click on the t-shirt. And that kind of does bring the pop out. So we've got a really nice design set up here, a lot of flow, a lot of effects, and just something you can present to a client that really is going to stand out as a design when you're working on their work for them. And if you're doing upselling comps or things like that, once you get down all of working with our plugins and training and stuff like that, you can do this stuff a lot faster than I do it in the videos. I can literally do this stuff in minutes if I'm not working a video, because I'm talking and trying to think about what I'm doing at the same time. And at this point in time, I would go ahead and call this a wrap. I'd say this design is ready. You know, if you had an event, you might put some event text down here and go ahead and set up your design and put out your separations. Now I want to take a look at getting this design down to a 4-colored, because I know when we did the cars, we used a lot of different colors in those. But with Simple Steps, you can bring them right down in colors. I'm going to go to Advanced Tools. I'm going to go to Simple Steps. I'm going to create a palette, and I know the colors I'm going to want are going to be black, which is here. I'm going to want red. I'm going to want yellow. I'm going to want white. And I might want my gray, but I can deal with that after. Now we've got a very intense graphic with literally probably over 1,000 objects. And we're going to go ahead with one-click conversion and bring this down to 4 colors. So I'm going to go ahead and one-click conversion, and we'll let Simple Steps process this down to a 4-color graphic that we could set up on a screen printing press. And there we have it. We can see that Simple Steps processed 1,402 objects, processed 1,093 fills, and 409 outlines replaced. Go ahead and select OK, and now we can see we've got a 4-color job with 20 different tints of color, and that's all going on in the blacks and in the car. So you can see that working with our different design automation tools, we've gone through Design Base, Fashion Factory, Simple Steps, and really been able to work our way through a very nice design with very good effects that's really going to stand out in the crowd here literally in a matter of minutes or less than 30 minutes. Now at this point, if I was working on this for an event, I probably might want to create a flyer to go with that event. So go ahead and minimize my Simple Steps, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom out here. We'll create a quick marketing flyer or poster for an event working with our graphic. Go ahead and bring this over here to the left, move that out. I'm going to go back to my design base. I'm going to go to Art. I'm going to go to Marketing Tools. Here we are. I want to grab this model comp. I'm going to double click on that and open that in a new document. I'm going to go ahead and select this, and then I'll go ahead and hit Control C. I'm going to minimize this, and that's the model comp. That's what I want the design that's here. Go ahead and hit Control V. And what you'll see is that we've got here is a couple of young women looking at the back of a young man's t-shirt. I think this is a perfect model comp for something like an automotive event. We'll go ahead and select this, bring this over here, and duplicate it here on top of the back of the t-shirt here. We'll go ahead and group this, and then I'll just go ahead and bring this down in size and bring that right to the back of that t-shirt there, and we can see what we're getting for pop here off of this design with the two young ladies looking at it, bringing a lot of attention to it, kind of making, you know, this t-shirt's really cool and they're kind of really digging it. I want to go ahead here. I'm going to hit down Alt and select the shirt color in the background. We'll go ahead and change that to, let's say, a 30% black if we're going to be going on a gray style t-shirt. We'll bring this here and click on the monochrome that's on top of that. What you've got is one monochrome color on top of the other, one shading, and the other is the actual color of the shirt. We'll change that to black. I'm going to go ahead and hold down Alt. We want to make that just a little bit darker maybe, right there. Now you got a really nice look with pop of it. You can make that any color you want. You can look at red or what have you. Go ahead and select all of these models here, all the model comp and the graphic here. I'm going to group that. And what I want to do is just kind of have that coming up out of the top of the flyer. So actually create a rectangle that kind of goes over that so you only see the upper half of what's going on here. We'll kind of hide the bottom half there. And we'll create another rectangle here that just kind of goes across the bottom as kind of a line point. Just a simple setup for marketing purposes. Right there. Next thing I want to do is go ahead and put up here, we'll just put the word Camaro Show. We'll key that in, and we'll change our font to the crown title also. Go ahead and maximize that, as we can see right here. We can bring this right in behind the models actually, right there. Just a quick setup on a marketing flyer or poster. You know, a lot of our clients will take these posters and print them out on their large format printers and then hang them while they're at the events or hang them around the shop or what have you. We've got this set up. I'm going to give this a white fill. I'm going to go and give this an outline of, let's say, 3 millimeters. We'll go behind fill with that. I'm going to right click and go order and select to back of page. As you can see there, just to give some pop to that text, I'm going to go to advanced and round my corners and end caps. Click on scale with image. And then I could come down here and just type in something like the official event T-shirt. We can put that right down here at the bottom beneath the model comps there, and we'll change that font to, let's say, a monotone, and we'll go ahead and resize that. And then right here we just click in the word only, hit enter, hit the $sign, 24.99, and then we can take that, we'll go ahead and center that, and we'll change that to the monotone also, and resize that right down here across the bottom. I want to get this up a little bit here, so I'm just going to left click with the shape tool and move that up right there to the center. And then we've got a little flyer we could print out here. Now if we wanted to take this up a notch as far as the flyer is concerned, we could add some textures or things like that in the background with the Fashion Factory. I'm going to go ahead and click off here. I'll resize this particular image here, and as you can see, we've got a nice poster we could put up at the event to advertise our t-shirt. And then the same thing I would do is probably print some flyers out and then see if I could get those positioned or set them up for distribution or hand them out at different places around the event where people would find them and then become curious, and you might have some information about where your booth is or something like that at the event or at the show. So go ahead and wrap here. We can see how we can go through the whole design process of creating really high-end designs and marketing materials very easily and very quickly, working with brushes, the Fashion Factory, and some of the high-end art that we have in the design base. So as I said, we'll go ahead and wrap here, and we'll see you in our next video.